G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game of Age of Empires 4. Today we're on Relic River. Is this the first time we're witnessing this map? I think it could be. I don't think we've done a cast on here before. So anyway, I'm looking forward to it. Let's get into it. Let's introduce our players. Welcome to a casted game if I didn't welcome you already. Let us get into it. Spawning in the west of the map in the color yellow, playing as the Rus today. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Numidan. And on the east side of the map in the color pink, playing as the Knights Templar. Representing Team Elephant, it's Louis MT. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a casted game. A pleasure to have your company here on this lovely day today. What is today? I don't even know. Saturday? Sunday? Somewhere in that region. Anyway, hope you're doing well. Hope you're looking forward to some good Age of Empires 4 content because we've got two of the world's best players. I was going to say the blessed players. I mean, I guess technically they're blessed, right? If you're good at a game, you're hashtag blessed. But we got ourselves a fun little map. Let's talk a little bit about this, because this is Relic River. And I'll say right now, if you're enjoying this casted game, please go ahead, leave a like on that video, because we're going to be talking a lot about Relic River this game. All of the relics are in the middle of the map, and that favors civilizations that love to go after relics, because it means that you're more likely to be getting all of the relics compared to other maps where you're not necessarily going to be getting them all. As an example, think of like Dry Arabia, right? And the distribution of relics that happens with that. You're typically just going to be having that one relic that spawns at the back. Sometimes it spawns at the top. Maybe if you're unlucky, it spawns at the front. And normally that means that you're kind of guaranteed a relic. So even if you've got a civilization like the Rus who love to go and grab those relics, it becomes difficult to grab that relic at the back because it's so easy to defend it. But here on Relic River, it's not going to be the case. So I think that naturally gives an advantage to civilizations that favor this. So think like your Japanese, your Holy Roman Empire, your Order of the Dragon, your Jussi Legacy, and of course, your Rus. So we'll be looking out to see what Numidan does with regard to the way that he plays this one. We do see 2 scouts coming through. I'll be curious to see whether he goes into professional scouts on this map. We do see there's 7 deer up in the north, 7 deer down over here on the south, 7 deer towards the middle, and 7 deer nice and close. So one thing to note is that these are not the same, right, when we think about it. So Numidan's deer pack is this one up here, and this is kind of safe for him because it's away from the rest of the armies and away from the enemy, whereas this one for Louis MT, I mean, you're basically just giving it to him, Louis. What's the go with this, buddy? Anyway, Age Up about to come through. Which way does he look to go? Is it Golden Gate? Is it going to be? No, it is going to be Golden Gate, so the Age Up is now coming through for Numidan. So going to be moving into a little bit more of an economic focus here. Now, one cool thing that I like about this map is just sort of the tiers that they've got, or is that the best way to say it? Sort of the different tiers of sacred sites. So you've got the first one, and let's get a little bit of scenic view going right here. Have a look at this. Isn't this so cool? I love this. When you think about like defending this, getting some stone walls up here, maybe a mangonel or two, or a cannon emplacement, that is beautiful, and that just continues coming down the rest of the river down to the second sacred site. And once again, it's the exact same thing. Now, I don't know whether we get this on the third sacred site, but let's continue flowing down the river. And indeed, we do, but it's not the sacred site. We're just going to have another one of these. But you can really get an idea of exactly how far the devs went with regard to this map and really carving out quite a nice little level difference that we've got throughout this. And of course that's going to be extrapolated through the outside of the map as well. We can see that we continue to rise over the course of the map, so we'll keep an eye out for that. But Age Up's coming through on the side of Louis MT. It's going to be the Principality of Antioch, so this is going to be giving him that extra little bit of attack damage for your melee units. On top of that, that's going to unlock the Sergeant for him. And it looks like we're going to have a second town center coming through as well. So at the moment, it looks like it's going to be pretty close to about a 4-minute town center. I'm curious to see what the fastest timings we can get for the second TC, because that's one of the things I haven't really seen people exploring yet. Obviously when initial, oh my lord, this is actually very quick. That's like a 4-minute, 10-second Age Up right there, together with the TC. Look at the timing on this. But yeah, I think one of the big things, at least for me, that I looked at initially with this civilization was the fact that, okay, you want to try and get your pilgrims out, that sort of thing. I didn't even really think about the idea of a second TC, but it really makes so much sense when we think how strong these villages are compared to just your standard villages. The fact that you're gathering wood faster, the fact that you don't have to drop them off or drop that wood off, and then the fact that you're also getting food for it as well. So the more villas that you can have that, oh, sorry, I just banged you guys. Not like that, but yeah, I banged the microphone. I was expressing myself with my hands. I was being a little bit Italian right here, embracing my inner vodka. There's an Italian guy, his name's Vodka. That's where that reference is. Not that vodka is Italian. I mean, the guy Vodka is Italian. Anyway, let's move on. Second TC going to be coming through from Numidan, and you can see the difference in timing here as well. Have a look at this. You know what? I'm thinking right now. I'm gonna try and work out what the fastest build for the Knights Templar is to get this second TC down. I tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a third TC go down. And just really look to sort of embrace that whole Fey mindset where you see the second TC and you just double down. You're like, okay, you're doing 2 TCs. That's cute. Whoa, whoa, hold on. Whoa, we just sped up the game. Jeez, that was unintentional. I don't even know what button I hit for that. Was that M? I don't even know how I clicked that. I'm gonna have to remove that. Everything started moving so quickly. I got a little bit discombobulated. But yeah, I think there's definitely a world where I'm putting my legs up right now. Let's theorycraft a little bit here, because obviously we got ourselves a little bit of a lull. But to me, it feels like something that you can just get away with, right? Like if we think about this, you age up at 4 minutes. Your enemy knows you're aging up at 4 minutes and you're dropping the TC straight away. So what do they say? They say to themselves, okay, well, I got to get a second TC up as well, because I got to match that. And then you take advantage of the fact that you know that they're going to go for the second TC. You go over the top for a third TC. And the guarantee here is that you're always going to be able to pay off your third TC and your second TC, or any TC for that matter, incredibly quickly, as long as you're taking advantage of wood. So if you're on deer, like the way that we see Louis is here, it's not as strong. It's basically like a normal civilization. But if you're on wood, that's where the real difference comes through. So I think that there is definitely something to be said about that sort of play style and try to maximize. I mean, how could you really play into wood more? I guess you could look to try and take advantage of the archer. I think that's probably about it. I mean, what other options do you have? Farms, archers, yeah, outposts. You could spam outposts. We could get some emplacements going. Maybe that's a cool trick. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what the play is. But Louis MT seems quite happy on 2 TCs, because I think the reality is, like, your standard follow-up from, like, a 2 TC opening, especially in a matchup like this, is most likely going to be a Castle Age, right? 2 TC into Castle Age. You get your upgrades the same way that we see them doing right now. So Wheelbarrow is going to be coming through. So I think that makes quite a bit of sense. And now up towards the north side, Louis MT going to be taking out the Borg here. We can see he's got that scout that's going to be tanking up the majority of the damage here. And the villagers going to be able to hopefully clean that boar up without taking too much damage themselves. Indeed, able to keep themselves alive up here. So he's got the 5 vills up here. So very well played by him. And looking to avoid, at least early on, transitioning over to farms and taking advantage of these woodlands. I guess the alternative is with this wood as well, and taking advantage of it. I mean, you could go into like more military production, right? So that definitely makes a lot of sense. You could look to throw down a whole bunch of outposts on a sacred site. Maybe that could be the play, but I mean, outposts are difficult because you waste a lot of villager time just building the outposts themselves. They're quite you know, there's a lot going on there. Now, interesting decision here when it comes to this pilgrim. This is almost certainly going to be a 130 pilgrim. Yeah, it is. Does he look to continue that? Does he? I wonder if he always looks to come up to this sacred site. I'd be more tempted to go even towards the bottom one. I feel like the bottom one's probably more likely to be a little bit closer. Is he still? Yeah, he's still running up towards the north. High Trade House going to come through. Beautiful little spot that he's got here as well. Up against the edge of the map. Stable's now going to start coming up. 8 minutes and 30 on the timer. Yeah, you know what? I've convinced myself. I think it's kind of funny because I was anticipating being a House of Lancaster main, but I've really taken an interest in the Knights Templar lately. They're just, I think initially people look at the House of Lancaster and like, yeah, this is broken. But I think as time goes on, people are going to realize more and more that Knights Templar is absolutely cooked. And, well, maybe not cooked, but they're cooking. Let's just put it that way. And it's going to take some time. I think they're a more advanced civilization. But, yeah, like, little details like the fact that you can get this super fast TC up, it's very difficult to deny. I mean, we're probably going to see players eventually start to work a way around it. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing people just Dark Age rushing every single Knights Templar player, just so that they can stop them from gathering up stone. All right, we do see the other ball on the other side of the map being taken. Age up comes through, 9 minutes and 22. Now, keep in mind, if you went for a third TC here, you basically just concede all the relics to the enemy. And that's something that you probably want to avoid doing. And we can see now that age up is going to come through from Louis MT. So definitely not as quick as the Rus age up. Obviously, Rus have got quite a bit going for them when we consider their bonuses, right? Like they've got the 20% extra wood. They've got the bounty sitting at 406 at the moment, and I love that we can see this. Can I just call that out right now? You've got the hunting cabins providing all of that extra gold from the very beginning of the game. So all these little things contribute to that faster age up time, because obviously the bounty is going to be providing a little bit of a gathering bonus as well. Whereas the primary bonuses that Louis is going to be picking up are just those bonuses for wood gathering, and that's obviously not going to help a huge amount, at least initially. So it's definitely one of those considerations to make where, you know, the second TC makes a lot of sense, but it's definitely not going to be a fast thing if you're going for Castle Age. But Age Up coming through, it's going to be the Kingdom of Castile, which is going to allow him to have these sacred sites that generate quite a bit more damage, as well as the health regeneration. On top of that, you also get access to the Janitor, which is a ranged unit, does particularly well against any kind of ranged unit. So I'm thinking Horse Archers as an example, and I wonder if Numidar knows that his opponent might be thinking about going into the Kingdom of Castile, and subsequently, instead of going into archers, or cavalry archers, horse archers, goes into knights, which is probably the safer option in this situation. I tell you what, I'm kind of curious to see how Castle Age meta falls for this civilization as well. Just primarily because when it comes to this civ, I thought the heavy spearman was going to be like the go-to unit. But more and more that I've seen it, it just kind of feels a little bit meh. It's just that like that slow speed really hurts it. The fact that it's a heavy spearman, you know, it's a great unit, but it's slow. It's really slow, and that can definitely hurt. It's not able to achieve what it wants unless it's able to really put pressure on. So you very much have to think in that sort of mindset of putting on pressure with the heavy spearman. Whereas a unit that's more reactive, like the Janitor, in the event your enemy makes any ranged units, get a couple of those bad boys out, and you're going to be having an absolute field day. But we do see quite a bit of transitioning across this map. We've got units moving up towards the north, a little bit of an attack towards the middle, holding out these sacred sites or these relics for the moment. Meanwhile, it looks like the two pilgrims will make it safely to the sacred site. Louis MT puts away a little bit more resources in the bank. More pilgrims making their way out. Very interesting decision that he's coming down here. I would have been much more tempted to go to this southern sacred site just because it's so much further away. Because here, as an example, you can see the knights have got so much time to pick up these pilgrims. They come through, they take out both of the pilgrims. That's 6 vills equivalent down, and you just march on to your next target. Because obviously, you're not going to mess around with these spears for too long. But hold on, he might lose this cavalry. Yeah, he lost the cav. That's a little bit of a mistake right there from Numidar. Now, keep in mind, both of these guys, very, very good players, very strong players. Both Conqueror 3, obviously. Louis MT, one of the best in the business. Recently coming off a tournament win where he actually took out Beastie Cutie. And Numidar on the other side, also a very competitive player. If you think about Conqueror 3 being 1,600 rating and, you know, Conqueror 2 being 1,500 rating, Numidar about 1,900 to 2,000 rating. So very, very competent player. So looking forward to seeing what his plan is this game. Double monastery going to be coming down here for Louis as well. Interesting position on these monasteries, but obviously this is more about collecting relics more than it is about keeping the relics permanently in there. And definitely having a bit of trouble early on with these knights. So I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see maybe some Templar brothers coming out. And now the archers are on the map. Or in fact, the Templar brothers are already out. We also see Janitors coming out. So looking to try and take advantage of that cavalry. We've seen cavalry compositions do very well with the Knights Templar in the last couple of games. So perhaps we witness something great today as well. Meanwhile, towards that top side, the farm's going to start coming down. Villager count at the moment relatively even. 65 versus 60. And now that relic picked up, secured. Still two TCs for both of these players at this point. Pilgrims making their way north. We'll switch it over to income per minute. We're at the 13 minutes and 30 second mark. And now the Knights going to find this. There's the Janitors. So one of the things to note with this, a very low damage, however, incredibly high damage against ranged units. So I think ideally you probably want like 7 or 8 of them. Maybe even like 10 of them, because they've got a good range on them as well, 6 tiles. And then you just want to shift click down all the enemy's ranged units, and you don't want to make more than that. Right? Like, you just want to grab them and then just go click, 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 while holding shift, and then just kind of forget about them. I think that's probably the way to do it. And you go after their high priority range, because here we can see just how much damage those javelins are doing. And now compare that to the damage that they're doing on the knights. That was 1 damage a pop on those knights. It's a unit that you really have to be careful with. You really have to try and focus down the enemy and the correct units here. So you want to make sure that you fire off on them. But you can see just how quickly they fall. The Janitors getting eaten alive. The Spearmen a little bit too far forward. Why are they going so slow, Spearmen? You got some Janitors to catch up with. Meanwhile, back over towards that top side of the map. Another raid coming through. Sacred Sites also getting picked up. And on that south side, the Genitours escaping away from the Knights, and you can see he's actually trying to kite. I wouldn't even be attacking these units. There's literally no point. You do 1 damage every hit. Like, you consider how much a Spearman is doing to these units. It's like 5 rounds of damage from a Genitour. Like, you just get out of here. Just get out of here. Try and loop around this way and then come out and try and flank at the back. Something you could, or just anything realistically, to avoid these Knights. Very difficult to deal with. Now, we did also see, I think, a Templar brother somewhere in here. I thought I saw it for a second. Am I crazy? No, there are Templar brothers on the map somewhere. There's one up here. Looks like there might also, indeed, there's one back over here. He's doing a little bit of raiding right now. And unfortunately, going to get caught out of position. A lot of health on those guys. 275 versus the 230 of the base Knight. So quite a big difference. And behind the scenes, Spearman now just going to start working down the hunting cabin. Expensive to replace. Partly because of the fact that they're generating quite a bit of gold. Let's just put it that way. But now, also, more Knights Templar. +2 upgrades on the way through. You can see more and more of them coming through for both of these guys. Looking to pick up their ranged attacks now. How are we doing on tickets? Numidan going to be purchasing a fair bit of wood here. So let's compare the economies of these two players and see where they're at. So you've got about a 1,200, 1,500, sorry, 2,500, 3,200 for Numidan. And then on the side of Louis MT, you're looking at about, what is it, 1,700, 2,300, 2,700, about 3,000. So relatively even on the economies, a little bit variable, at least for things like the golden tickets. But take a look at these walls that are starting to come up. Huge palisade walls across the north side. Of course, these are the fortified palisade walls of the Rus. Going to be a little bit stronger than your standard palisade wall. Come up a little bit faster, cost a little bit less. Incredibly good walls, but obviously at the consequence of not having stone walls in the, or at least until potentially the Imperial Age, depending on which landmark you look to age up with. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a villager come up here and just look to get a wall in. This is very wallable. You know, we often talk about mangonellable. Well, we don't really talk often about wallable, and that is incredibly wallable the way it sits here. Though, I'm not sure if you can... you should be able to wall across this. If you can't wall across it, I wonder if you can build a dock up here. Do we see a dock today? What do you think? Vote down below. No, not really. We don't have anything like that. But have a look at these walls that we've got coming up, though, from Numidan. He's really looking to play. Is he thinking about going Imperial, potentially? I mean, you wouldn't normally wall like this unless you were thinking or contemplating it. More fortresses going to start coming up, though, for Louis. He's already got one up. That's going to be another one. Genitours is going to have to fall back. Spearman number looking very good. He's got a whole bunch of spears and 20 Genitours out now. Interesting combo. So what actually beats this when you think about it? These are ranged units. So horsemen? No, horsemen won't work. You got too many spears. This is a cool combo. This is a sick combo from the Knights Templar. This is one of the things that I love about the Civilization. There's just so much customization with it. I think eventually it's going to get solved, but you know, as long as the devs keep doing work and keep balancing things, then you're going to have a lot of flexibility and variability. And Spears looking to cover. He's got a huge amount of spears out here. Pushes all the Genitour across. Genitours, you've got to be careful. I mean, there's plenty of them in here, and as long as he's able to just take out these ranged units, he's a happy camper. He's got a lot of range on these units as well. Look at the Genitour as they tee off on that backside. Get off my screen, please. Get off my screen. It won't get off your screen. No matter how hard you click, no matter how hard you ask, it'll always stay on your screen. But really nicely done here on the defense by Numidan. He does force his opponent away, at least for the moment. But I do suspect he will be back, and you can see just how little damage those Genitours do as they throw that volley back towards the enemy. There's really no reason for you to do it, to be honest. It's one of those things where it's like the amount of damage that you do is just not at all justified. But he's now back towards the Sacred Site, so now not only gets the extra healing, but he's also got the ability to get more damage. And that was a pretty nice push, considering the fact he didn't have that Sacred Site buffing him up. On top of that, he's also got the extra damage from Antioch on the Spearman, so that +1 that you see is not because he's got +1 attack. That is just from Antioch, which is the Principality of Antioch, the feudal age up. So quite a nice little buff there that will slowly add up at the end of the day. But Knights Templar looking solid so far. Where do these players go? Louis not training many units. I say many units. He's training sergeants at the moment. Wall's going to come up. Sacred Site in the south, potentially contested here with a keep. I do like this. Doesn't really do much else, though. This is a much better keep. Large gold, as well as the large stone, together with the sacred site. I tell you what, it feels a little bit sad that Numidan wasn't able to get down here earlier for this kind of keep, because this would have been incredible. I mean, he's still somewhat able to contest here, but the problem is if you get a castle or a fortress down here, it's going to be very problematic. Templar brother did get behind the enemy lines, and now up towards the north side, we've got a unit looking to contest. At the same time, more units looking to contest on the south. But the fortress is going to come up very shortly. And you can see the monk is actually healing up because of the Faith of Castile. Very cool. And keep in mind that you probably want to avoid fighting on these sacred sites just because of the bonus damage that you get. So these spears getting a +1 damage. Now, that does appear to be only base damage. It's not the range damage that they're getting an increase for. Well, sorry, it's not, yeah, not the bonus damage that they're getting an increase for. It's just the base damage. So that extra 20%, it's going to go very well on things like the Templar brother, on the Unique cavalry. Hopefully he avoids going into Poland here, Louis MT. I suspect he probably will. If he goes, which way is he going to go? If we had to guess. I've seen Venice. We've seen all of these, actually, and I love that. I love the fact that people are still really unsure what the best option is. But judging from his army, I wouldn't be surprised if he went like Teutonic Order. I feel like it's just such a safe bet to go for. Like the fact that all units get the extra 2 armor and then you reduce the armor from the enemy. Like that's particularly good when we think about the Spearmen, right? And you could just, maybe that's what's sleeper OP about the Knights Templar that people don't know just yet, is like, it's not their heavy spearmen that's overpowered. It's actually their normal spearmen. Because if we think about it, right, like you get the extra 2 armor on gold units. Spearmen obviously aren't that, but it's about the reduction in armor from the Teutonic Knights that make the spearmen very good. Because it just basically means that they're getting an extra 2 damage against everything. And when you've got so many spearmen and they're so cheap, that's essentially the idea. They're kind of like your little zerglings that just run around and kill everything. That's the idea. We don't actually have it right. It's just coming in now. Desert Citadel's only just arriving now, but of course he's already picked up the treasure towers. That's come through. So that means a little bit of an increase to the gold that he's got. So going from 130, let me click over here, 105. It's only 105 to the central one. Wow. I would have thought that would have been a lot more than 105. If we look at that on the map, like that's, I mean, it's kind of close. 105 though? I would have thought that would have been like a 125. I would not think that that would be a 102. 106, 110 in here. 105s, yeah, all right, geez. I guess we're just heading back up to the north then. That's probably the way to go. Because you got to remember when it comes to the way that we allocate our pilgrims to a sacred site, at the end of the day, your pilgrims are going to get made every minute, no matter what. And if they have to walk a little bit further to get that extra gold, then it's probably worth it. But there's definitely, a route to, making, well, not, there's definitely a bit of thinking that is required for it. It's not as easy as it seems. Because if you've got to travel extra far just to get that 130 cap, you really don't want to be doing it, just because it means that you're out on the map a little bit longer and potentially going to be hit in between. And look at all, oh my lord, how many sergeants would you like? And Louis MT just says yes. That's his response. He just says yes. A whole bunch of these guys coming out now. Expect to see crossbows on the other side. Numidan already going to be going for it. And it is the Republic of Venice. I somewhat suspected that it was going to be. So Republic of Venice going to be, interestingly, working with the market and also providing him quite a few units that we will hopefully get to see all of them today. The first one going to be the Condottiero, which is a very quick unit, very good against taking out gunpowder units. They get bonus damage against gunpowder units, as well as a damage reduction against gunpowder units. So think of like your hand cannoneer, think of your bombards, and they're quick. That's the other thing. Got quite a bit of high base damage, but they cost pure gold. That's the other interesting thing about them. Next up, we've also got the Venetian trader, I think, if I remember correctly. So you'll be looking to put a market down here and then trading across the map over here. And the Venetian trader, you can only have 5 of them because you don't actually have the ability to train a trader as the Knights Templar. But the Venetian trader is a very quick. You've got a maximum of 5 that you can make. So we can see them right here. Very fast units, and obviously very good at gathering up gold. And then the final unit that you've got is the Venetian warship. I can't actually remember the name of it, but yeah, it's a front-facing or front-shooting unit that's got like a trebuchet on board, basically. So pretty cool unit as well. Definitely good for pushing different angles. Excuse me. Siege, crossbows. Only thing that we're missing here, I take it back. No, we've got spears. There are spears, at least, just not in this army. Meanwhile, towards the south, that's where the spears are. Veterancy coming through. Elite upgrades on the way for both of these guys. Elite spears coming through and elite sergeants on the way for Louis MT. But the army's looking pretty decent here. Bombard's going to be moving forward. Keep in mind, they've got a decent amount of damage here. No bonus damage against siege, though. And now those sergeants, I tell you what, those sergeants are going to be so careful of them. They will come in, they will one-shot these bombards, dude. Keep in mind, the sergeants are a melee unit that throws its weapon. So it's got a 4.6 range, and it throws its melee weapon, 19 damage against this bombard with zero melee armor. So it's hitting it with a melee attack. So you've got to be very, very careful about the positioning of your siege. Those sergeants do not mess around. And keep in mind, Louis MT wants to fight on the sacred site, because not only is he going to get that extra range from things like the defensive fortress and its bonus, the desert citadels, where it gets an extra 15 range as well as an extra bit of armor, but he'll also get that extra 20% damage. So if anything, he kind of wants to bait his opponent in to fight him on the sacred site. That's what he really should be looking to do. But Numidan is ahead when it comes to the military count. At the moment, the focus is largely going to be on this top side of the map. We'll check in and see how Numidan is doing, though. Obviously, playing the Rus, we're a little bit less interested in him than his opponent. But the numbers here, at least from the economic side, are looking quite good, quite favorable for him. And what have we got out here? Is this a trebuchet? It's a trebuchet. It's a counterweight. Oh, that's an interesting trebuchet right there. Have a look at that one. It's a floating trebuchet. That is alien tech. Don't make me talk about it. I will talk about it. We've got ourselves a little bit of alien tech down here. There is a counterweight trebuchet magically hovering in the fog of war. Oh, never mind. There was a castle. All this time there was a castle. All right, moving forward. Watch how quickly this siege goes down. Watch how quickly this siege goes down. He's going to try and get it out of here. Sergeant's going to focus it down. They turn around and you can see just how quickly they burn through it. We enter into the cinematic mode because it is time to get some cinema in here. And now those sergeants all teeing off together. Quite a bit of melee units on the front. I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see him kiting back. He's may have bitten off a little bit too much. More condottiero coming through on the backside as well. Those sergeants looking to try and reinforce. Ville's getting pulled to the front. Might potentially think about getting in a bit of repairing, but Sergeant's going to look to try and focus down. No. Is he going to commit? He's going to commit. He's going to try and dive on this bombard, and you can see all the villagers in position, ready to repair. Long gone to the rights to repair. Now we're just ready to repair. In the end, the bombard does stay alive, but I tell you what, you can't say the same about the army of Louis MT. Got absolutely rinsed there, my friends. Poor Louis, but have a look at this. We've got ourselves some walls coming up. He's got quite a bit of an economy behind this. If we take a look, 4,000 gold a minute, just a casual 4,000 gold a minute. You know, because sometimes you need the gold. Speaking of gold, have we got any Venetian traders out? Apparently. Oh, okay. Oh no, we do have 5 Venetian traders out. There we go, 153 gold. You can see just how quick these guys are moving. That is a quick little pony. I think they're a pony. I think it's a pony. All right, towards the north. Fortress. Up against the keep. And unfortunately, there is a bombard here, so it's not going to be a happy story. I just saw a whole bunch of market trading coming in, and this is exactly the power of Venice right here. So he purchased a whole bunch of stone, and one of the great things about Venice is it reduces the rate that your stone or that all of your resources increase or decrease when you're doing any market purchasing. So once stone has run out on the map, and not that it has, there's still quite a lot of stone on this map actually, but it just allows you to be able to be very flexible and not actually be punished that much. But now we can see quite a bit of sergeants coming out. Villagers here. He's going to look to potentially lose out quite a bit here. In the end, the keep comes online. The boiling oil is here. Villagers jump inside. Condottiero goes down, and with that, all of the sergeants, in my mind, they were going to do so much more work than that, but the Vills dive out once again. Vill count down to 98 versus 112, and I think at this point, Numidan's going to be cautious about pushing towards the enemy. I think if anything, you want a slow push. You need at least 2 to 3 bombards. He's got 4 out at the moment, which is perfect. That's exactly what he needs. You can see towards that south side. He's still struggling down here. More insufficient stone messages coming up. He's probably going to have to think about getting that Golden Gate, working on a little bit of stone transfer. But yeah, there's lots of stone up towards the north side, and we do now start to see there is a position that is going to be taken up here by Louis MT with the mining camp coming through shortly. 16 villagers heading over this way. Still got some upgrades that he could look to try and pick up. At the same time, we also see the lightweight beams coming through for Louis MT, so going to be looking to challenge this position with battering rams. Always dangerous to do, unless you've got your army there as well. And a whole bunch of stables getting thrown down in the back of the base now by Numidan. Okay, so wood is starting to run low. If we look at wood, I mean, he's still got other options, right? It's not the only one. Battering rams over here have broken through quite a bit of units here. Condottiero, are they just going to run straight past? They're going to try and run past. You can see them. Unfortunately, I mean, what good is movement speed if you've just got a line of men-at-arms and spears that just completely stop you? Fortunately, looks like this guy's played a little bit of football back in the day, and mate, tell you what, he put the stiff arm out and gave it to him, and now all the condottieros around the back. Look at that. 11 of the best, of the fastest, 1.44 movement speed, just straight down to the villagers. Villagers going to just try and block out, I think. Is that what they're doing? No, he's moving them into the army so that they don't die. And now behind enemy lines, the condottiero have broken through. The wide receiver. No, not even the wide receiver. Who would it would be? Definitely not the quarterback. He would have been sacked a long time ago. He was sacked up here. I saw him actually take... Yeah, it hurt. What's the running back? That's who it is. We're watching... Reggie Bush. I haven't watched NFL in so long, man. All I remember is Reggie Bush jumping over that guy. Jeez, it's been a while since I've watched some American football. I'll say that much. We just witnessed a whole bunch of Reggie Bush right here as he jumped over the enemy military. And is now behind enemy lines. Villager count 89. Will look to tumble as these condottiero continue to trickle through. Oh my lord, there's a whole bunch of them. He could look to try and take out landmarks. There's more to the south. He's got a really nice surround. How did it go so wrong for Numidan? He was in such a wonderful position. You know how it went all wrong? Because Louis MT is adapting. He's overcoming. He knows that his opponent needs to just do a big, slow push into these sacred sites if he wants to contest him, especially now that all 3 sacred sites are taken. So what does he do? He just says, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go over there. I'm going to go over here. I'm just going to hit you from every single angle with the condottiero, the ultimate raiding unit right now. Who needs cavalry? Cavalry gets countered by spearmen. And what does the enemy have a lot of? They got a lot of spearmen. But fortunately for the condottiero, it does pretty well against everything else. Look at the damage numbers that are on this. 29 damage, by the way. Not a whole lot of armor, so they're a little bit weak. But now the sergeant's going to start working down this keep, and have a look how quickly it goes down. That is absurd how quickly that goes down. That is not even fair how quickly that goes down. Crossbows finally coming in, though. And now the army looks to have collected. Condottiero, let's not be surprised if they get on the move here. But Louis MT in a wonderful position here. 200 out of 200 for both of these players. We also see upgrades coming through. It's going to be fine-tuned gun for a little bit of extra bombard damage. One thing to note is that when you are not able to push on the front because your military is not there, then your bombards can't push either. And this is where having stone walls really makes a difference. And even if you've got stone walls, I mean, the battering rams are still going to be annoying, but that's the consequence of a map like this, in the sense that you're not really in the corner and able to defend yourself. You've got a very large base, a very large set of walls that you can be attacked from many angles. And because of that, Louis MT's really able to find his stride here with the condottiero. So a wonderful utilization of the Venetian unique unit. 42 of them out, 32 of them in queue. That's a lot of gold. That is a lot of gold. My man is absolutely cooking up the gold economy right now. Speaking of gold economy, can we take it? Oh my lord, look at the pilgrimage. Have a look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pilgrims on the way, each one carrying 130. That's going to be going up an extra 20% because he's got the fortress right on site here. Condottiero still out over here on the loose. He's got the sergeant paired up with him, and unfortunately, I would say there's a bit of a mistake. I think you probably want to split them off just because the condottiero is so much faster, and look at this, still down here causing havoc. He's got a 40 vil advantage. So meanwhile, back towards his top side, 130 gold for each of these, but it's going to be multiplied. I think it goes up to 169, I think is the number. I'm trying to remember what 130 times, is it 20%? I think that's the treasure tower bonus. Treasure towers. Yeah, 20%. So it would be at least 100, and then... No, it'd be 156. Should be how much these guys get. All right, let's take a look and see. Louis MT, 156. I know there's fights going on. I'm more interested. 156. So 156 times 8, you're talking about more than 1,200 gold right there that is coming through every minute for free. No population paid. I mean, technically, you obviously have to pay for the keep or the fortress to get it. But the fortress is like, you're already... I mean, we already want this fortress here, right? It's already doing something. We're just solidifying this position. It's harder for you to attack. And now, Numidan finally got the message. He said, you know what? I'm sick of you. I'm sick of your damn condottieros raiding through my base. I'm going for it. I'm committing. I'm going 100%. We're going straight down the middle. But the problem is, when you have to take out the landmarks, bro, you have to go so far. I've got to go to the north. I've got to go to the south. I've got to go to the east. I've got to go to the west. There's landmarks everywhere on this map. When you think about how many landmarks Louis got, he's got 7, 8 technically, because the main one right here is still standing. So it's not like you can even go for that. And he's just going to keep building them. you take one out and 10 more of them pop up. And the thing is, you can just keep doing this because you allied with your commandery is the Venetians. So you can basically just keep getting infinite stone, not infinite stone, but a decent amount of stone coming through. All right, well, Sacred Site in the north is still in position, so he's still going to be generating that gold, and the Pilgrims make it safely around that top side, so they'll be absolutely fine. Now Ville's going to get cleaned up. Louis MT, he needs to react right now. What is the play? How long does he let his opponent keep pushing it? Look at this, he's making battering rams at the base, Louis MT. You are cheeky. You are a cheeky MT, my friend. Oh my lord, look at what he's doing, man. If you're Numidan right now, you're so disheartened. Like, how do you even beat this? If we really think about this, like, how do you go about beating this? This just feels like you're fighting against the Hydra. You cut off one of the heads and just two of them pop up. Look, there's another one popping. Now I gotta go kill this one. How do I kill all the landmarks? Do you know what I mean? Is it just me? Or is this, like, absolutely fighting against the Hydra? It's absurd when you think about it. Because it should be simple. You should just be able to walk down the middle, but... You know, how long is it going to take before the Condotieros just start rallying themselves to the back of the base once again? Well, there they are. 5 more Condotieros coming in. Okay, I'm liking this strategy. Louis, I don't know how you managed to fight. Oh, my lord, that's an army. He's near the Sacred Site. He's near the Sacred Site. Get him, Louis. Get him right now with the Condotieros as they dive in. The extra little bit of damage. He's got himself a nice little pocket. Delete the Palisades. Get a little bit more of a surround, my friend. Delete the Palisades, Louis. All of the sergeants on the back, the Condotieros on the front. They're going to try and grind down this front line. Plenty of crossbows here to hold the line and defend. They get an extra little bit of damage against these units, but at the end of the day, finally deletes the Palisades and makes his way through. He's just cleaned this up completely. My God, what a cleanup. Not even close. Ladies and gentlemen, Numidan taps out, and Louis MT is your victor today. What an incredible game right there from the Knights Templar. And really, I mean... This is scary. Watching Louis play the Knights Templar is very scary. Anyway, go check him out. Links are in the description, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.